Hello, my name is Colin Levy, and it's been a while since I posted anything on YouTube. I've been going through it. I feel like most people who are subscribed hit that button because of a short film that I released in 2019, a passion project, sci-fi proof of concept short called Skywatch, which has really defined the last 10 years of my life and has taught me so many lessons. And we were able to set it up as a series. And for the last 4 years, we've been in development on that. I thought my life was going to change, and it did, just not in the way I expected. I fell into basically a black hole, just like the deepest, darkest part of my life.
And in this deep, dark black hole, his soul was ripped in half. He was confronted with himself.
Not to be overdramatic, but it wasn't just COVID or Skywatch or moving out of state or my breakup. It was a combination of all things that sort of culminated in this internal implosion. It's kind of a lot to talk about directly on YouTube. So as a way to share some of the hard life lessons I've been learning, I want to tell you a tale about 3D printed drones. The tale is actually quite simple. I promised 3D prints to my Kickstarter backers, but it took me 7 years to fulfill that promise. At this point, these drones are all sitting here finished, in this box. These are drones. Why have I not sent these out? Let's get into it. I'm curious because I really truly think that someone else could have gotten this done in like a month or two. And that bothers me. I don't want to waste decades of my life with this like burden of unfulfilled promises and projects that go half finished. I think a lot of people struggle with this. I've been lucky enough to have this rock bottom to really illuminate what's going on for me internally. Motivation, perfectionist, can't focus, fear of failure, fear of judgment. Okay, so there's some truth to a lot of this. But all these things I sort of see as symptoms of a deeper problem, which has taken me most of my life to uncover. I remember when I first joined Pixar and learning of the phenomenon of imposter syndrome. I walked into that building for 5 years, and even by the end, I never truly felt like I belonged, like I deserved to be there. And this isn't an isolated incident. This feeling has plagued me my whole life. Elementary school, middle school, high school, college, in groups, with friends, with girls. For the first 34 years of my life, I actually actively hated myself. The core of my being as a human being, I think, kind of comes down to this. Most of the things that I've ever done, I've done out of a desperate need to be loved, to, receive validation from the outside because it's been so absent from in here. And Skywatch, the short film project, has been my greatest gambit for that validation. I had this idea that maybe if I made it great, maybe if I got 1 million views, maybe if I got Jude Law to be in it, maybe then I would be worth something. When we shopped the film around in 2019, the stakes could not have been higher. It felt like life and death. Maybe if I sold it to a streamer, but then I did that. None of that meant anything unless we actually got the show made. Maybe then I'll actually be somebody. This is not a new story. I've heard this over and over again, but it's true. And when you live like this, no matter how good things get, no matter how good of a day you have, it's not enough. Every moment, every action, everything you say or do becomes a proxy for your own self-worth, another opportunity for rejection and failure. And here, finally, we get back to the matter at hand. In a very real sense, I could not make and ship these 3D printed drones because I had gotten so insecure, so fragile as a human being, that what you think of them could actually destroy me. Fortunately, that's exactly what happened. At my lowest, I spent about 4 months crying every day, multiple times a day, oftentimes on the floor, trying to actually change the way I think and act, which requires a complete surrender of attachment to an old way of being. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I think intuitively I realized that I was never going to feel any better about myself unless I made feeling better about myself the most important thing in my life. The internal had to become more important than the external. Who cares what happens to Skywatch? Who cares if I have a career? I need to be okay with myself, no matter what. My theory was that if I could somehow change this into this, then every broken layer of that massive issues would naturally heal as a result. And I would actually become whole enough as a person to ship you a 3D printed drone. I'm not going to get into the whole sort of self-love journey I've been on, but just to mention, part of it involved getting off social media. I'm still struggling every day, but I'm feeling more whole and happy, honestly, than I probably ever have. And though I barely documented the process, I am happy to report that this past month I finally shipped out the final 3D printed drone to my Kickstarter backers. Yes, it was 7 years after the fact. No one cared. No one was waiting for this. Some of them arrived broken, but I am not perfect. And these drones aren't perfect. And that's okay, because I no longer need to be perfect to be able to live with myself. I still don't know what's going to happen with the Skywatch series. I don't know if I will ever become the filmmaker I've dreamed of becoming, but I no longer need it. All too often we are, taught that in order to be worthy of love, you got to earn it. But actually, you don't. You are inherently lovable. And it's cheesy, but if you believe that, it makes all the difference. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you. I know this may seem ironic, but I'm actually starting a Patreon. Don't worry, I'm not promising crazy rewards that I won't be able to fulfill in 7 years. It's almost the opposite. I want there to be no expectation. I want to give myself permission to be messy, to not even have a brand, not know what the future holds, and follow my creative impulses. I'd like to figure out what being an artist looks like for me in a way that I'm not hiding from the world. So this is your official invitation to join me on that journey, if you're so inclined. Thank you so much for watching. Good luck in your creative projects. And don't forget to love yourself. Okay. Shut up. I love you, Colin. Good work. Good work. It was fine. Good work.